Hello everyone, this is Sashes&Scripts, and today we will be talking about why do we think the Binibining Pilipinas Pageant is the hardest national pageant to win in. Plus, we will also be talking about tips and tricks for Binibining Pilipinas hopefuls in order for them to make their pageant campaigns and pageant journeys easier. But before we begin, I hope that you would like and share this video to your friends and to your favorite pageant girl so that they're able to, take notes on the different tips and tricks that we will be talking about. So for us, we think that the Binibining Pilipinas pageant is arguably the most difficult national pageant here in the Philippines simply because of how complex yung mga mechanics, yung mga technicalities, yung mga logistics na kinakailangan na gawin ng mga pageant girls, ng mga hopefuls for the title in order for them to win. Kadalasan, ang Binibining Pilipinas, yung isa sa pinakahuli or pinnacle na achievement ng any pageant girl dito sa Pilipinas simply because this pageant, aside from being a heritage pageant or a heritage brand in itself, is one of the most toughest to crack. Nasasabi namin ito, or rather nasasabi ko ito because of how we see, the level of difficulty is as compared to other national pageants. Ang Binibining Pilipinas kasi is one of those crown jewels na if ever that you're able to win the national pageant, hindi lang prestige yung kasama sa title, but rather may kasama din siyang respect and reverence from the pageant community as well as, the general population as well. Ngayon, isipin natin, what makes the Binibining Pilipinas pageant so difficult to win? Bakit nga ba parang among all the national pageants that exist now currently in the Philippines, bakit ang Binibining Pilipinas ang namumukod-tanging pageant na nakakayanan yung napakahaba na pre-pageant activities, and ano yung dahilan kung bakit hindi ganun kadali yung manalo sa Binibining Pilipinas? Now, of course, we have three reasons for that. Based on observation, based on the things that we've seen in the past, how the pageant unfolds, how the pageant is executed, how the pageant is, prepared by the organization, masasabi ko that there are main three things what that sets it apart in terms of level of difficulty. Now, first and foremost, among the reasons why this is such a tough pageant to crack is the fact that the Binibining Pilipinas pageant is a 2-month-long pageant, and sometimes it's around 2.5. In fact, it is probably one of the longest national pageants in the whole world because ang preparation, or rather yung umpisa ng pageant, starts with the applications in January, and then you have the screenings that sometimes in the past ang screenings umaabot ng 2, 3, or 4 na screenings before the final set of candidates are named. And of course, after that, the coronation is either set in around the months of April, May, and nowadays in July. So, isa yun sa mga dahilan kung bakit mahirap yung ipanalo yung pageant na ito, because with that long time, napakahaba na pre-pageant na activity from the time that they are actually named as official candidates, maraming mga pinagdadaanan na mga activities where the girls, are judged, where the girls are scored, where the girls, are observed in terms of their performance, in terms of their attitude and behavior, in terms of their, deliverables in the competition. Now, with that being said, isa-isahin natin, ano yung mga events na kinakailangan na nilang pagdaanan throughout the entire duration of the pageant. There are corporate sponsors, there are legal team briefings, there are of course the facets of the competition itself like the national costume show, the judging fashion show, the parade of beauties, the press presentation, and then there are also numerous photo shoots, from headshots, from glam pics to their national costume na mga pictorials, their swimsuit pictorials, and then of course meron din yung kanilang pictorial with the Binibining Pilipinas t-shirts, and then after that there are also multitudes of activities around the Araneta Araneta City. There are charity works. There are advocacy seminars and advocacy events that the girls go through. With that number of pre-pageant activities, talagang mauubusan ka ng lakas, mauubusan ka ng finances, mauubusan ka ng mga resources if you're not well prepared. And that is why, for Binibining Pilipinas, any girl who wants to compete in Binibining Pilipinas needs to have 3 important things in mind in terms of the long duration of the pageant. And the first there is, of course, physical stamina. Kinakailangan kakayanin ng katawan mo yung haba ng preparasyon ng pageant, and that is why training and physical fitness is very important for the girls, because you are being grilled on, and it's going to be a grueling 2-month long na activity upon activity, and kinakailangan kaya ng katawan mo yung puyatan, kaya ng skin mo yung stress that you're going to go under in, because there's a lot of sleepless nights, there's a lot of stress involved. And with that being said, you also need to have mental fortitude. Kinakailangan matibay ang loob mo, matibay ang pag-iisip mo na pagdaanin yung mga activities na ito, pagdaanan yung mga stress na dulot ng mga activities na ito in the long run. Kinakailangan na you need to prepare yourself mentally, because with the long duration na pageant, there will be times where you will be starting to doubt yourself. You will be starting to compare yourself with the preparations of other girls, or even the wardrobe of other girls. That you're going to compare yung preparations mo versus preparations ng iba, and it's going to be a mental battle to be to stay focused with your game plan, na hindi ka ma-throw off doon sa plan of action mo. And this is also why you need to have a plan going into the pageant. You need to have a set of actions and goals that you need to put in prior to joining the pageant. Kinakailangan within your team itself, na pag-usapan nyo kung ano yung magiging national costume mo, ano yung magiging evening gown mo, what are the things that you need to prepare in terms of hair and makeup, what kind of training that you need to do, the kind of topics and issues that you need to discuss with your interview trainers and mentors, and even as simple as posture and catwalking, lahat yung kinakailangan mong i-include doon sa overall plan mo. And aside from that, you need to also to gather within your team a set of game plan, a set of rules kung saan kinakailangan sila ang sumunod sa iyo, rather than they dictate to you what you're going to do in your in the duration of the competition. Kinakailangan you take leadership of your pageant journey, kumbaga. And thankfully, we have written several blog posts on that topic that I will be linking down below at the description, so that you're able to develop mental fortitude, and in order for you to build your team up. Of course, dito sa 2-month long na preparations na ito, it's important that you have a team behind you, and isa din yon sa mga articles that I've put up for pageant girls to look at and look up on. Now, the second factor why the Binibining Pilipinas pageant is such a difficult pageant to win in is because of the judging process, the criteria of judging. Unlike other national competitions, ang Binibining Pilipinas have percentages that is allotted per criteria. Unlike in, let's say, the recently held na national pageant like Miss Universe Philippines, all you need to do is to do well, score well in in the preliminaries competition, and then you're into the top top 10, top 20 of the competition. Pasok ka kaagad sa semi-finalist. That is not the case with Binibining Pilipinas. The fact that it has a very detailed and a very exacting na criteria, you need to be able to figure out for yourself kung saan ka kakana, kung saan mo tatargetin, saan yung focus mo on each of those criteria. Because the criteria for Binibining Pilipinas is beauty of face, beauty of figure, intelligence, and poise and personality. With that kind of criteria, and yung mga criteria na to, iba-iba yung percentage, kinakailangan timplahin mo mabuti kung paano ka mag-compete against yourself and against other ladies in the competition. Again, the criteria of judging is not as as easy as compared to having a preliminary competition on the swimsuit, on the evening gown, and that's it. With such a very detailed na criteria of judging, may mga percentages pa, kinakailangan mong timplahin yung paano mo aatakihin yung different na mga pre-pageant activities, because each of the pre-pageant activities could possibly spell a scoring event or a non-scoring event. Like for example, if in the press presentation nakikita mong nagte-take down ng notes yung mga panelists and yung mga execom, and that probably means that is a part of the Binibining Pilipinas scoring process. They're probably scoring you on the beauty of figure na competition because you're wearing swimsuits, and then you're presenting yourself with the panelists and the execom of BPCI in front of you. So ibig sabihin nun, binibigyan nila ng score yung presentation ng mga candidates. So you need to know kung saan yung mga areas where scoring or at least note-taking are taking place. Because most likely, those events that have panelists taking down notes are the areas where you are being scored and you are being judged. So, na kailangan you have to pay attention with how the entire pre-pageant activities are being done, because dito nila finifilter yung mga papasok sa semi-finalists. Now, with the judging criteria na with different percentages, it kinds of brings an added level of difficulty, because kinakailangan kapag ini-scorean ka on, let's say, the closed-door interviews perhaps for the intelligence na criteria, kinakailangan you're able to articulate well enough in your interviews, for example. But you need to understand kung gaano kalaki yung mga percentages na to, so that if in case na pumalya ka on one hand, on one criteria or one event, you are able to to recalculate and figure out what's your next step in order to cover up the mistake, or to cover for the possibly low scoring in an event. So you need to know the moving the percentages. So kung alam mo na ang 50% which is the beauty of face is being judged, let's say on the national costume fashion show, then you need to really take care of your skin, you need to take care of your beauty regimen, you need to take care of your styling in order for you to pick the right styling for that leg of the competition. That way, kung bumagsak ka man doon sa 20% or 10% na intelligence na criteria, then at least bumawi ka doon sa beauty of face. Or vice versa. Kapag alam mo na marami kayo na nagko-compete, na marami kayo na front runners for the title, kinakailangan you are able to make sure that kahit na cover mo na yung 50% of beauty of face, you need to also make sure that you are also gaining enough points on other criteria. So hindi mo kinakailangan mo din pag-utunan ng pansin yung closed-door interviews, yung poise and personality na aspect ng competition. So yun yung dahilan kung bakit the judging criteria is so unique and so difficult to to hit it on 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 target, because there are people who defines beauty of face differently. There are people who would prefer morenas. There are people who would prefer mestizas, and this is reflected in the panelists, reflected in the BPCI Execom. Lahat sila may kanya-kanyang definition ng kung ano yung maganda, and lahat sila there are they are very exacting with what they are looking for, because they are looking essentially for the face or the faces of the Binibining Pilipinas brand. And it is important that you know yung mga criteria of judging in order for you to assess yourself. Assess for yourself na alin yung weak na area mo, at doon mo pagtuunan ng pansin yung mga areas na kinakailangan mong i-improve. Yun yung mga, if you know that, let's say, pasarela is a weak area for you, then you need to ensure na yung presentation skills mo during the press presentation is covered by having intensive pasarela training. So kinakailangan kung saan sa tingin mo ka mahina, yun ang pagtuunan mo ng pansin in order to improve that area. Yung mga areas na malakas ka, just try to polish it further, and make sure that you don't drop the ball in the pre-pageant events where you are being scored. Now, on the third part, kung bakit ang hirap ipanalo ng Binibining Pilipinas, is that is one that is quite intangible, and that is the fact that there is a very high and very exacting standards associated with the brand, especially with Binibining Pilipinas that has around almost 60 years in existence, and this is why the Binibining Pilipinas brand is able to withstand the fact that they lost two major international franchises. Dito mo makikita na because of their very high brand equity, there are very exacting standards that you need to live up to in terms of the winners, in terms of the pageant itself. Now, balikan natin yung binanggit ko about exacting standards. You have to remember that the pageant has been established since the 1960s, I think around 1964. And with that being said, from that time on, up until now, the Binibining Pilipinas Pageant has already proved itself by crowning winners that are not just good as beauty queens, but also good as actresses, as public servants, as lawyers, as career women. There are Binibining Pilipinas who went on to have illustrious careers in the showbiz. Nandyan na sina Sherlyn Gonzalez, sina Gloria Diaz, sina Melanie Marquez. We also have lawyers and neurosurgeons na mga Binibining Pilipinas winners like Zoraida Ruth Andam and Patch Magtanong. Maricar Mendoza, who was Binibining Pilipinas Universe in I think 1980 or 1981, is I believe she's the one who is now in neurosurgeon in the United States. There are other other Binibining Pilipinas winners who we are not aware of na was able to create very successful careers outside pageantry. So that in itself, yung mga susunod na mga binibini na nakokoronahan would have to live up with that kind of exacting na expectations from people, because alam ng mga tao that anyone who is a Binibining Pilipinas winner is treated differently as the rest of other national pageant winners. And that is because of the heritage and the history and the prestige that's associated with the brand. Now, pag-usapan natin yung heritage brand na term, because I think this is something that not a lot of pageant fans are quite aware of, and that's because this is something that is recently being applied on pageantry. Heritage brands, from a marketing perspective, are brands that have established itself a long history of excellence. Usually heritage brands would have around 30 to 50 years at the minimum of existence before it can be considered a heritage brand. The reason why it is called a heritage brand is because it has history. It has a history of excellence, a history of of craftsmanship, or simply good name, or you have a long history of reliability. And that is what the Binibining Pilipinas represents among the national pageants in the country, because of the fact that it is very prestigious, and it's an old legacy brand. The pageant itself is looking for a winner who is aligned with that kind of level, in terms of beauty, in terms of in terms of prestige, in terms of quality. So kapag sinabi mong heritage brands, parating may karugtong na kalidad to that to that brand. That is why heritage brands like Hermes, like Dior, Chanel, and other European brands really have quality at the center of its at the center of its prestige. Aside from, of course, yung the usual the usual upscale and usual na aspirational lifestyle associated with them. And that is what makes Binibining Pilipinas, sort of difficult to win. Because ang gusto ng mga tao is that the winners would align to that same level of quality and prestige as the brand has. If I am to choose or to name a pageant that is a national pageant that is most difficult to win, I would put Miss USA and the Binibining Pilipinas pageant right on top. Simply because, again, for Binibining Pilipinas, the three things that I've mentioned, which is it's 2-month long na pageant activity, yung judging criteria, and the fact that it is a heritage brand. Now, for the Miss USA naman, it's because of the grueling process involved, that you need to win yung citywide na pageant, yung statewide na pageant, yung national pageant, before you can really actually represent the United States in the Miss Universe na international competition. So it's those kind of levels that makes Miss USA difficult to win. And in the same note, with Binibining Pilipinas, marami rin kang pinagdadaanan in order for you to finish up the entire 2 months, 3-month long na process. And that is why nung panahon ni Catriona, when I was brainstorming with Kaloy Buendia, which is part of her her trainer, which is her trainer for the nationals and in the Miss Universe pageant. Isa sa mga napag-usapan namin was how it is so difficult to win Binibining Pilipinas, simply because there are a lot of factors, moving factors, that that could affect her placement. Pwede man siya ang manalo in terms of score, but if in case that her age does not coincide with the requirements of the title that she wanted, then wala siyang magagawa kundi may i-relegate siya sa ibang title. There are also factors like yung deliberations, where the judges would discuss which is the right girl for the right pageant. And that is why we felt that mas mahirap ipanalo ni Catriona noon yung Binibining Pilipinas Universe na title as compared to Miss Universe, because we felt that the Miss Universe pageant was a walk in the park for Catriona. Kumbaga parang it was guaranteed na mananalo siya sa Miss Universe, unlike in Binibining Pilipinas, where some of our fears was that paano kung hiningi siya ng head ng Miss Supranational na organization? Paano kung hiningi siya ni Nawat? Paano kung siya yung hiningi ng whoever national international pageant head is there during the pageant final? So it really is a very difficult position to be in. especially with, Binibining Pilipinas, that has a long history of putting the right girl in the right pageant. And that is why, if you look at Binibining Pilipinas from its inception to until now, kay minor or major pageant man yan na ipapanalo ng Binibining Pilipinas. And that is why I believe that BPCI and BBP as a whole is a pageant system that is not easily winnable. Hindi siya yung tipo ng pageant that madaling ipanalo ng kahit sino-sino. And this is why, with all the things that I've discussed in this video, I still believe that Binibining Pilipinas is the most difficult national pageant to win, but it is the most fair in terms of treating its winners, treating its candidates, and treating its fan following. And that is why Binibining Pilipinas is a heritage brand. I hope that you were able to learn something in this video. I hope that for pageant girls, meron kayong natutunan and meron you were enlightened with some of the things about the Binibining Pilipinas pageant that might help you with your pageant journey, whether you're a candidate now or a candidate in the future. So I hope that this video would be passed around for other pageant girls to learn from. That's it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you'd like and share this video, and I hope that that I see you again soon in our future episodes. So till then, guys, bye and take care.